Good. And I hope you enjoyed the food.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure. No, you are from Maharashtra. Anybody from backside? Did you enjoy the food? No, food was. In fact, there were some Maharashtrian items today. No? There were Gujarati items. Oh, okay. There were 3-4 items. Oh, okay. So it was nice, and I think we should have. Oh, next time we plan to organize a session on food also. The different type of foods. I think that's a good idea. We can organize a regional food session also, and especially nowadays we are promoting millets. So maybe for our nutritious health. Now, starting from nutrition to service delivery for the citizens. You know, you are observing that the sessions here are very, very interesting. And the departments and districts, they have done very good job. Okay. All state governments are making attempts how to reach out to citizens. Yesterday you heard the Chief Minister focusing on citizen component, citizen as a center of the governance. And today you heard the Deputy Chief Minister elaborately explaining how the technology can help in achieving the objectives and making governance citizen-focused. Now, all state governments are making efforts. Number of services are being taken online. And some of these states have decided that they will actually close down the physical service delivery once they are online. But how do you measure all these things? Like everybody is saying on the website we have online. But is it actually working? Are the citizens satisfied? How many services are online? But how do you measure all these things? So to have a benchmark of measurement of the services delivery, the DARPG has come out with an initiative. It's called NESDA, National E-Service Delivery Assessment. We did it in 2019, then 21, and next process is going on. Now this process is entirely based on the information given by the state governments. And it's a ranking of the state governments, different services. So in order to explain it further, I'll request my colleague, Mr. Rajput, to explain it briefly so that you are aware while you are submitting your application or online portal, you are aware how it works and what is the intention and where your state might rank on these parameters. Thank you.
This is not working? Yes. Thank you, sir. Presentation, please. Kindly upload the presentation. So, as mentioned by the chair of this session, we have published 2 NESDA reports so far. First, we published a report in 2019, and in 21 we came with the second report. If we recall, today in the morning, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Maharashtra, he mentioned that Maharashtra is trying to get on top in e-service delivery. In fact, every time, and today morning I also discussing this point with Kshatriya, that we should add more and more services. We have seen quite a wide variation while providing these e-services. Few states are providing as high as 815 services online, whereas few states is only 2-digit number. Next, please. So basically, this is an assessment of e-governance service delivery in the country. It is the first of its kind in the country to assess the services being provided online. Next, please. So, as of now, we cover 7 parameters while assessing the states. That is accessibility, content availability, ease of use, information security and privacy, and service delivery, integrated service delivery, and status request and tracking. Next, please. So, as I mentioned, we have 7 parameters and 7 focus sectors. Sectors are finance, labor and employment, education, social welfare, local governance and utility services, environment and tourism. Next, please. So, as of now, we assess the portal of the state or the central ministry and the department as well as service portals. We see how many services are being provided by the portals. So, this is a journey of 2021 NESDA. We started data collection, synthesis and analysis over 15 months, beginning Jan 2021 to June 2022. 56 services, all these mandatory services were covered in 35 states in UT and 25 services across the 11 central ministry and the departments. Over 1 lakh response covering 1,400 services across India analyzed. This process was conducted 100% online. Next, please. So now we can see the ranking of different states and UT as per NESDA 2021 report. So in the northeast and hill states, Nagaland was on top. You can see the list. Then Meghalaya, Assam, Sikkim, Tripura. Similarly in UT category, J&K topped the list. In fact, regarding J&K, they have very few services. But in a year, if you compare 19 and 21, they got listed 420 services online now. And now we have divided other states in 2 categories, Group A and Group B. In the Group A, Kerala is the number 1, providing more than 800 services. In the Group B category, Odisha is on top. My colleague Malik is here. We see in the Kerala is number 1 Group A state, Tamil Nadu is 2, and we see Maharashtra is on the 9th position. Even though Maharashtra has done very good job, Aapne Sarkar portal, entire app is very good, appreciated everywhere in the country. In fact, we have invited Maharashtra to present their case at many forums. But maybe because of less number of services, this could be the one reason. It is for the state to analyze. But I am sure in the next report, which will be published in 2023 this year, I think Maharashtra will be certainly on top. In the second Group B category, Odisha is first, Uttar Pradesh is second, Bihar and so on we can see. And Madhya Pradesh, because my colleague Avijit is here, so this is on 6th position, maybe because they have less number of services. Another reason could be, in fact, when we visited Madhya Pradesh recently, this point was mentioned, no, we are providing more services. I don't know how come this number 415 is coming. So recently we are setting up one PMU, where we will be comparing the services which are being provided by different states. I have seen in a state, suppose we providing 400 services, another state is providing 300 services, both could be altogether different. Maybe few services could be common. And when one state could provide a particular service, why not the other? That means exercise has already been done. The framework is already ready. It is the matter of time when you include all those services which are being provided by different states. Next, please. So, next, please. Just a quick summary. In 2019 NESDA, we covered 872 services, and in 21, we covered 1400 services. If we see the UT and state category, the comparison, like Northeast 121 services were there, now they have 316 services in 2021. UT 115 services originally they covered in the first survey, now 206. In the revenue state, now they are covering 878 maximum services. If you see sector-wise, the detail is given here. Next, please. Oh, go back. First slide. So now we should discuss takeaways out of this NESDA. Many good example of different states are listed here, like ease of doing business portal of Assam, e-district portal of Delhi, Antyodaya Saral portal of Haryana, Sindhu Seva portal of Karnataka, digital portal, digital Punjab portal of Punjab, e-Mitra portal of Rajasthan, e-service, e-Sevai portal of Tamil Nadu, Me Seva portal of Telangana, Swagat portal of Tripura, Nivesh Mitra of Uttar Pradesh. Many good portals are available providing e-services throughout the country. Next, please. We have seen the improvement over the sectors, like ministry, state UT and ministry portal. We have seen North Hill state. There is the overall improvement from 4.9, the score of 0.49 to 0.69. UT category it is 0.32 to 0.61. There is an overall improvement in the scores of different state and UTs. Next, please. So this is just to show that out of 58 mandatory services covered under NESDA, how many services are being provided by different states and UT. Like we have seen Andhra Pradesh, they are covering 50. Still 8 more services which are compulsory, which are mandatory, are to be covered by the state. Similarly, for Maharashtra, it is the 48. 10 more services are to be covered. In the remaining state Group B category, the highest is 55, that is Rajasthan. Next, please. In case of Northeast state, it is 47 highest for Assam, 48 for Tripura and 48 for Uttarakhand. In the second UT category, Jammu Kashmir highest 54. Next, please. So there is a comparison, how many total e-services are being provided by a state vis-a-vis mandatory services. For example, Kerala 850 e-services they are providing, almost at the level of saturation. So roughly in a district or in a state, normally around 850 plus, maybe around 900 services we provide. So 850, they are quite close to saturation. Next is Karnataka 798, Andhra Pradesh 540, Haryana 529, Telangana 418, Maharashtra 389. I think you have more. I think 389 is the correct figure. Online 389. Few they have taken for the assessment. So we have out of whatever number is there, they have listed out 58 mandatory services. The list is available. In fact, which 10 services you are not covering, that list we can provide to you. Yeah. So Tamil Nadu 327 and Goa 240, Punjab 238, Gujarat 110 services. Group B category, next please. Odisha 512 services they are providing. They have very good portal, integrated portal, that is the Odisha 1. Odisha 1. They have Odisha 1 portal. Then MP 479, Jharkhand 312, like this we have given. Similarly, we go to the UT category. Next, please. So JNK 230 services and out of mandatory 54. Similarly, we can see for different UTs. Next, please. Further go to next slide. So this is just a chart to show that how many services we are covering out of 58 mandatory services. And next, please. Here we can see the total services being offered online. Next, please. So as I mentioned, the saturation of e-services is the first takeaway of NESDA 2021. We should provide all the 56 mandatory services, and we should try to reach the saturation in providing the e-services online. Second takeaway is the adoption of integrated service portal. Instead of having different portal, department-wise, sector-wise, we should have unified integrated portal for the district or for the state. Third takeaway is the suo motu entitlement-based delivery of services. We have seen Andhra Pradesh, they have started, they will assess the socio-economic status of the family and what are the benefits they should get. So on based on entitlement, they have started offering those services. That is Then, as mentioned by Honorable Deputy CM today in his address, he mentioned it's on e-services delivery is not that just uploading the documents. Entire process should be online, should be faceless. Nobody should be required to visit any office or to contact anybody. Once you apply, automatic delivery should be there. So next is the rise in number of services provided facelessly. Then, of course, last is because we are just assessing NESDA again for 2023, improvement in scores of all seven assessment parameters for the NESDA report. Okay. Next, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajput. This was a brief introduction about the process of NESDA. And as you have seen, this is just a framework which DARPG has prepared to measure the assessment of the services which are being provided. Now, this is a framework and a lot of changes need to be made. And as you have seen, the delivery of e-services, or rather I'll say services through digital medium, there are endless possibilities. As today morning Mr. Kshatriya mentioned about that article based on artificial intelligence, and Mr. Rajput said the services have to be end-to-end. Now some places, some departments, what they did, entire process will be online, but they will ask the citizen to go somewhere and collect the document, or give his password, or certify himself, or so somewhere some link is left as a weak link, and then again is a trouble for the citizen. So how do you do a process-based, seamless, end-to-end service delivery? Now there is also a focus on faceless services. Why an individual citizen need to be identified? If that citizen has given all the information online, why not deliver the services online itself? So some of the states have done very good job on this, and Odisha is one of these states which have done very good. And Mr. Malik is with us. I'll request him to give the brief about the state efforts.
Thank you, sir. Respected Additional Secretary, DRPG. I feel very thankful to DRPG for providing me opportunity to give a talk about the NESDA 2021 as per the Odisha perspective. Actually, Odisha started e-governance project much back in 2006-07 right now. And AR's administrative reforms, actually we have created a cell under General Administration and Public Demands Department in 2002. After that, we have started some e-governance projects which carries a long way. For that purpose, we have added more and more services online till that. Next slide. So basically, we have started processing by saying what are the processes to study, identify innovations in the best practices in the public service delivery, and different systems and services which can improve the well-being of the common people. And we have also made some macro changes and innovations in the policies and practices. Basically, the most important part of the e-governance project as a practitioner, the capacity building of all the stakeholders. Basically, we have conducted large number of trainings of all the employees across the state at the district level, the regional level, and divisional level, as well as the state level also. And we have created a database of different databases, like all types of services, like G2E, G2B, G2C, and G2G. So these are the different portals where we have delivered more and more services. And these databases are now being integrated so that more services can be delivered to the common people. Next. So this is actually the 5T initiative we have started in 2019. This 5T basically the teamwork, transparency, and technology, and which transfer within a time frame. And we have also this 5T charter for all departments. Every department has to make a 5T charter so that what transformation can be made at the department level. Also, all the employees, officers, actually they have also made a target, and accordingly they have to submit their PAR, where the 20% weightage is given to the 5T initiative for each officers. Next. Basically, the flagship e-governance projects we have started: HRMS, Human Resource Management System, Litigation Management System, Odisha Right to Public Services Act in 2012, and later on, actually, we have made a unified citizen-centric portal where all the e-services are delivered. There is a Odisha One portal. And Odisha State Workflow Automation System. Initially, actually, we have automated the secretariat. Now it is upscaled to the directorates as well as the districts. This OSWAS is very much helpful for e-filing system in the entire state. Next. So HRMS actually the flagship project where all the G2E services are delivered, basically employee base. We have started with basically four-pronged approach. All HR activities should be transacted electronically. There should not be any paper transaction. And HRMS can accurately project what is the revenue expenditure towards salary. Now the entire budgetary provision made online. So all the concerned drawing and disbursing officers, they are submitting their budget online. And HRMS is integrated with the IFMS so that the budget is prepared online now. And the decision makers can have a scope for effective planning of the utilization of HR resources. Basically, we are providing all centralized HR data to every organization. Like your election office, anytime the election is being conducted, they are collecting the data from each and every office to randomly deploy the manpower in the electoral booth. We are providing the data to the election chief electoral officer, basically for random deployment of manpower. Who are the Group A, Group B officers, who can be the, and what is the native district, as well as what is the pay scale. Accordingly, they can feed the data so that they can randomly deploy the manpower in the electoral booth. Basically, who will be the presiding officer, who will be the polling officer, there are certain criteria. So that in each and every time, we are not collecting the data from each and every office. There is a centralized database of around 6.5 lakh employees, and we are taking the centralized data to each and every office at any time of need. Basically, the time and energy has been saved by each and every office. These key issues, basically, we have 40 administrative departments and 110 directorates, and we are around 7,000 DDO, drawing and disbursing officers across 30 districts. And each month, we are processing around 80,000 bills, and we are having a 6.5 lakh employees database. And basically, there are different types of officers, all India service officer, as well as the state government officers. All these business logic which are affecting the basically HRMS. So we have taken into care and developing this logic. Basically, I am telling this HRMS is indigenously developed by the government of Odisha. We have set up a center for modernizing government initiative. We have our own IT team. They are developing this software. We have not outsourced to any private vendor to develop this software. They have conducted the domain study and they have developed this own application. Next. So in the phase one, actually we have developed a data model for how to capture the legacy data. Because we don't have the legacy data, we have taken the service book data, manual service book data, where the profile data as well as the transactional data of each employee were available. We have taken the legacy data from the service book. And in the phase two, actually we have developed this e-service book. Now at the time of retirement, any employee is going to submit the pension paper, and as well as we are also sending the e-service book to the AG, so that accordingly it can be processed and the pension can be sanctioned immediately. This payroll automation because of this payroll automation, this database is also dynamically updated in each and every month. And we have also introduced a single page pay bill. Because of that, we are also saved around 15 crores of rupees for the paper cost, which are submitting to the treasury. Because of this integration, only the abstract of the bill is sending to the treasury, and entire the pay bill is sent through PDF copy to the treasury. So there is no paperwork. Basically, we are sending the abstract of the pay bill. And online PAR submission, basically we have started in 2014. So each and every employee, they are submitting the performance appraisal report online. And as per that basis, we are now giving the promotion in time to all the employees. And we have also made the mandatory for property statement, so that every employee has to submit the property statement online. And renting management also, leave, loan, advance, pay fixation, pay revision, that has been already made online. And at the time of transfer also, the last pay certificate was essential. Now it is auto-generated. And now we are integrating the pension as well as the quarter management system. So every employee who is taking quarter, and the data automatically populated with the quarter e-quarter application. And whenever he is also leaving the quarter, he can also generate the no due certificate immediately. Next. These are basically the employee life cycle. We are starting from recruitment till retirement. We have identified each and every employee is having 78 types of transactions with the government. Accordingly, this HR model has been developed. Next. So we have another application, LMS, Litigation Management System. This is actually the very beautiful part. Sometime back in 2017, Maharashtra government has also invited to us to implement this LMS. And we have also made the presentation in 2017 back. This LMS actually, it's a link between the Honorable High Court as well as the AG office and as well as the state government. On the real-time basis, we are getting the plain copies as well as the PWC and counter affidavit, interim orders as well as the judgments. They are seamlessly flow with the different offices to the court. So it is now integrated. So entire real-time data we are collecting from the High Court as well as the AG office. Next. Also, recently we have implemented the Deputy Solicitor General in the High Court of Odisha. This is the entire workflow, how this LMS is being operated. Next. So this is basically, initially we are facing more and more contempt cases. Now we have the SMS facility for the contempt cases as well as the interim order and judgment, so that we can implement all the judgments within the time frame. And single sign-on facility, basically HRMS and LMS has been integrated. So there is single sign-on facility for both the applications. And we have included all the police stations, all the corporations basically. Now we are also reflecting the daily cause list of the High Court. And all these MIS reports are being generated, and all the law officers, they are also accessing the LMS. Next. This is basically the Odisha Right to Public Services Act. Like most of the states, they have also made this right to public services. We have started in 2012. These three basically transparency, accountability, and timeless. Before that, we are not accountable to the services. There was no fixed time limit, and there was no transparency in the delivery of public services. Now, entire 417 services of 31 departments have been already notified under this act. Next. So this is the basically structure of this Right to Public Services Act. Next. So we have covered around 417 services of 31 departments. Next. Next. This is actually the Odisha One portal. Now around 37 departments and 571 services are being delivered online through this Odisha One portal. Around 59,21,000 services have been applied, and out of that 55 lakh applications have been delivered, services have been delivered. Because of this, actually all this background, actually you could able to develop more and more services on this portal. This is a unified portal, and all the citizen-centric G2B, G2C services are being delivered through this portal only. Next. This is the transaction, right side, how many transactions have been, e-transactions have been made. Around 1 crore 30 lakhs transactions have been made. Next. This is actually the backbone HRMS, which has been integrated with different portals. We have started with HRMS. Now this is integrated with IFMS. Because of that, pay bill automation has been made. And also HRMS is integrated with the CCTNS. And all the police database we have also synced with CCTNS. And e-quarters, e-municipality, AG Odisha, pensions portal, LMS and ORTPS all have been integrated. So anywhere HR data is required, we have integrated with HRMS all other services. So it is now helpful for each and every service to deliver. And all these portals have been integrated with HRMS. Next. This is actually the way forward. We are now developing ecosystem for cost-effective, innovative ideas. Any encouragement. Also, we have introduced the CM's Award for innovations and best practices. Development of policies. Any new ideas for transformation in public service delivery. Recognition of talent. Designing relevant programs. Preparation of knowledge database, basically. There's comparative analysis of the innovations and experience. Basic thing is that during e-governance project, we have identified the infrastructure, basically. Most of the offices, they don't have computer. Most of the offices, they don't have the internet. Initially, only the BSNL was the service provider. Later, more and more service providers have come into picture. So ICT education at the school and use of satellite data for public service. Now we have introduced the BLUIS, Bhubaneswar Land Use Intelligence System, using the satellite data to basically monitor the encroachments in the urban land. So more and more satellite data can be used for the public services. Next. This is the journey towards e-services. We can add more and more e-services during the next course of period. Thank you. Next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malik. You know, these are just the glimpses of what the state governments are doing. And in a short span of time, we are actually not able to do full justice to the projects. But it's an opportunity for you to get interested into this. And the officers are present here, so you can take their numbers. You can contact them. Maybe online you can request them to make a further presentation, maybe with your officers. Or maybe your teams can visit the state governments and learn more about the projects which are being implemented, and you can take it forward. Now, e-service delivery has actually endless possibilities, and some of the initiatives are being taken by state governments, and you can see what could be the potential of these. And I think I'll not preempt Mr. Abhijit in explaining to you what is being done by Madhya Pradesh. And some of the things are, I personally find very exciting. They can completely transform the way the governance has been done in this country. So I'll request Abhijit to take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for giving an opportunity to speak in this August gathering. Can we have the presentation, please? So majorly what I'll talk about is there is a faceless system of mutation that we have done. Next, please. Next slide, please. I'll talk about CM Helpline dashboard and machine learning based Girdavari, that is crop survey, and faceless mutation, land use permission and disaster warning in a very short span. Next slide. Next slide, please. 181 we started in 2014. Next. And it's like I think we were one of the first state to start CM Helpline Grievance Redressal Portal, and we have almost 55 plus departments with 18,000 officers being mapped here on complete workflow. And there are like 400 plus executives which are working. And we have also now detailed it to now district level command and control center, and which are linked with CM helpline. So even if there are situations of flood or any disaster kind of a thing, then that call center can even work for delegation. And now district collectors are using this call center as a survey method for scheme delivery, implementation, and their effectiveness. Next, please. This is an integrated, and we also have a mobile application, web application, and this is an integrated system. Next. Workflow, there is an escalation mechanism from L1 to L4, and recently we did a very nice tweaking that L4 used to be the secretarial level officers, wherein HODs and secretaries used to be the L4. So what we realized that all the problems majorly citizen facing are being addressed by the district or the divisions. So why it should get escalated to L4? So we introduce a concept of drop down, wherein if the officer at L3 says that this problem pertains to government, or there is a budget process, or the permission lies with the government, then only it will be rising to L4. Otherwise it will get stuck to L3. So they can even de-escalate it to rather than escalation. So because most of the problem are being redressed at the L1 to L3 level. Next, please. We also have an outbound, and we make a single call to everybody, which are the schemes which are partly grievances which are partly closed, so as to know the citizen satisfaction. And we rank our officers and the districts and the department based on the satisfaction level of the citizen. And till the time if the citizen is satisfied by our agent giving him a call, then only we close the complaint. Otherwise, we'll escalate to the next level. Next. So this is a workflow for feedback, and citizen can even give a call to 181 and register their satisfaction, and they can even register their satisfaction on WhatsApp bot as well. Next. We also take the response of the executive, whether you are happy with the call center executive's response and the way they have handled the call. Next, please. These are the stats. We have almost 2 crore plus complaints which have been registered, and you can see the resolution is 98%, and satisfaction of citizen is very good. I believe 70% is a very good number in terms of, and every day we handle 80,000 calls, wherein we register almost 25 to 30,000 new complaints every day. Next, please. We also have WhatsApp CM helpline bot, wherein we not only give the complaint, and we also give the scheme details as well. Next. This is a unique thing that has started in 2006, and CM takes every month picks up certain complaints, 10 complaints out of CM helpline, and then the citizen also come and explain their problems, and severe actions are being taken if the citizens, if the officers are found guilty. And we also give a lot of problem statement for district to or the department to resolve, and we also facilitate the officers on this particular program. Next, please. This is a very new concept that we started, CM Jan Seva, where these 7 services now citizens are getting on call to 181. So they are getting the registered, digitally signed copy of B1, Khasra, at 10 rupees, and the payment link is sent to the citizen on their phone. They can make a payment right on the phone, and they don't have to go to any kendras, or they don't have to go to any portal. Just give a call to 181, and services which are free, they are also delivered, disposed online, and they get these services right away on their mobile, on their WhatsApp. So this has been a game changer, and we are trying to popularize it. Recently we started. So we are trying to make it more, popular to the citizen. Next, please. We have also started a women helpline, wherein there are 7 women executives which are sitting, and there is a counselor also. So if there is a distress situation to a woman, then the call gets transferred to the district collector and the SP. And the women, that counselor also give the counseling to the women in distress. And so now we have taken a call that no department will make their own call center. We will give them the support. Now we are also starting a disabled helpline, wherein disabled people will be running that helpline within the CM helpline number with the same number. And they will be more responsive, I believe, to the disabled cause and their issues. Next. So we have a very good analytics dashboards which are there, and the district ranking are generated on the live dashboard. Next, please. These are certain text mining we also do, and we dig out the. Now we are trying to do the major root cause analysis, like what now IIT Kanpur has tied up with CP grams. So we are also working on certain kind of root cause analysis for why the problems are getting generated. Is the problem the process or the people? Next. I'll just shortly talk about the CM dashboard. Next, please. We have a very good dashboard wherein we have different schemes, integrated dashboard. All the application, e-governance application dashboards are also blended in this. So we have almost, next slide please. These are the types: flagship scheme, projects, public service delivery, conclave, even Atmanirbhar project that our state has taken a vision statement. Even department review meetings are also there in the dashboard, and the current affairs. So it's a comprehensive dashboard wherein, next slide please. So we have almost 33 departments which have been covered, and we have 75 plus application dashboard, and there are 16 flagship schemes of state government, 11 flagship projects, and ranking dashboard have also been developed for the district as well as for the departments. Next. We have also started now integrating it with GIS so that the heat maps can also be generated with the data set that is available with there. So for example, you can see the dashboard for Jal Jeevan Mission wherein the data is populated on the heat map. Next please. This is a very unique project that we started using satellite data, whether the data is, next please, whether the data is satellite image or the backscattered, because in Kharif we don't get the satellite data, which is because it's being the cloudy one. So what we did is, for the last 3 years, whatever the ground data we had, we tested it, and we used the algorithms which are available online using cloud services. And now we are predicting every crop-wise prediction using satellite data. For Kharif, we predicted for almost for the whole state, and Rabi also we are doing. So now we, on the Kisan, MP Kisan app, we are showing what is the satellite data according to us, our prediction to the farmer. And the Patwaris are also entering their data. If the Kisan is satisfied by both of the data, then he can just consent to that data. If the farmer is not satisfied with this data, they can make an objection to that. Then again the Patwari or the higher field formation will go to the particular field. And this has been, now we have started this for the crop prediction. Now we will also use this for the crop loss. And we are also doing a project with the State Agriculture Department in coordination with NRSE to do the crop insurance on this satellite image. Next slide, please. I'll just show the how we are trying to do this. So we ingest the satellite data, and we do the analytics part of it using machine learning. And then we are able to predict is now even land parcel wise. Because on the geographical expanse, it is easier to do, but to do it on the land parcel wise is a very tricky and a difficult one. We have even escalated this to Government of India for Agri-Stack also, and we are engaging with certain states also to give them the handholding on this. Next, please. So this has been our match and mismatch, and we have output validation. Recently we have done for Kharif. So our accuracy level for Kharif, we have reached almost 70 to 75%. Ravi, we are still evaluating because the exercise is going on. Next, please. Next, this is one of the faceless that Rajput sir was talking about. We have made the mutation of the land as faceless, wherein the, next slide please, the person doesn't have to go to any tehsildar for getting the mutation done. If the person A is selling the land to person B, then the person B will not have to go to the tehsildar. The data will case will get registered to our revenue case management system. SMS will trigger to the land, place and the village, the mobile numbers that we have, that if any person is having any complaint, then they can register the complaint online in 10 days. And the same chaspa will be done in the tehsil of that relevant particular geography. And after 10 days, if there is no objection or the objection online is frivolous or something which is not tenable, then there are cyber tehsildar who have been given the power of tehsildars who are sitting at the state headquarters, and the cases are given to them on the round robin kind of a system. So they will do the mutation on the behalf of the territorial tehsildar. And if the objection is found tenable, then the case will be transferred to that revenue tehsildar, territorial tehsildar. So we have implemented this to 10 districts, and this after 1st of April we'll be implementing to 100% of the districts of this state of Madhya Pradesh. Currently we are doing it only for single land parcel, complete land parcel being sold. Now we are trying to do a pre-mutation sketch kind of a concept, wherein even you have to sell a part of a land, then that pre-mutation sketch, that drawing, carving out of the land parcel will be done, and that also will be done through cyber tehsil. So this has really, given आज जो सुबह morning session में कह रहे थे तहसीलदार के भी अब काम खत्म होने वाले. So now we are also trying for Sampada, for registry of faceless registry. Almost from next year, we'll be doing the faceless registry where the people will be able to make the registry from their homes using the video KYC. We are almost, we have done the process. I think Maharashtra has also done most of it. So so this is one of the very interesting project that we found people to be very, and we entail to do almost 2.5 lakh mutation using this cyber tehsil for next year. Next, please. Next. So this is a workflow that will be there. Next. This is also an automatic layout process approval system. Whenever you have to get a layout of a particular say mall or a larger format of building or a planning, where in the town and country planning used to take 3 to 4 months, there are around 2200 rules which are there for one city, like Bhumi Vikas Niyam and so many boundary conditions. So we ingested them all into a business logic. So just 2 minutes, sir. And then we now the citizen, once they upload their GIS file, they will be able to know, next slide please, they will be able to know what is the boundary condition and what is the area that will be permissible. So this layout permission otherwise on an offline process used to take at least 3 to 4 months. Now we have reduced it to 3 weeks. And the citizen or the user can itself see whether his layout will get approved using the boundary conditions or not. And I think this is the first project in the country for layout approval in the this. So this is completely on GIS and the user can itself see that. Next. So next slide please. Next. So land use certificate also we have now, the user can see that. Next, the last project. This is a disaster warning and response system. We have completely made a GIS based framework wherein the data of dam levels and field level information are being collated. Next slide please. And we also predict the river basin submergence and the district submergence based on the rainfall. What is the likely submergence of the river? And we have integrated this with 181, with Janni and everything, and with the relief centers also. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. I think this presentation requires full half-day session because there are a lot of good, interesting things. Imagine cyber tehsildar. Somebody is giving online information about his land. The application is being facelessly marked to anybody, and by evening you can get your mutation done. That will completely transform the governance. In the interest of time, we will not be able to have any Q&A session, but officers are here. So those who are interested, I'll request them to meet individually with the officers. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Please be here for some time for a photo and felicitation. I request Shri Dilip Shinde sir on dais and request him to felicitate the chair and the panelist. Shri Dilip Shinde sir, Shri Amarnath ji, Additional Secretary, DIRPG, Shri NBS Rajput, Joint Secretary, DRPG, Shri D. Malik, Additional Secretary, Government of Odisha, Shri Abhijit Agarwal, Managing Director, MP State Electronic Development Corporation, and Shri Parthasarthi Bhaskar, Deputy Secretary, DRPG. Sir, please be here for a photo. Thank you very much, everyone. ये सारे जो सेशंस हो रहे हैं उनसे हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है. एज अ कॉम्प्यूटर ऑल्सो आई एम गेटिंग टू नो सो मेनी ऑफ थिंग्स. एंड नाउ वी आर मूविंग टूवर्ड्स द लास्ट सेशन ऑफ द कॉन्फ्रेंस, which is data-driven governance, jointly chaired by Shri S. Chokalingam, DG Yashoda Pune. Shri S. Chokalingam, DG Yashoda Pune. Can we have a good round of applause for him? Thank you, sir. Also, I invite Shri Abhishek Singh, CEO, NEGD DIC. Welcome, sir. And I invite all the panelists, Shri Satish Agnihotri, Professor, Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. Shri Satish Agnihotri, sir. May I call upon stage Shri Kamal Das ji, Dean, Wadhwani Institute of Technology and Policy. Shri Kamal Das ji, Dean, WITP. Also, I invite Dr. Anurag Aswa, Associate Dean, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, Pune, and Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan, Department of CSE, IIT Bombay. Thank you very much, sir. I request the chairperson to proceed. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you and the entire line of speakers spoke extremely well and put a lot of pressure on us on time also. So I request our panelists to be very crisp. Data-driven governance. We may think that it is new, but imagine an empire run through shipping lines which took 6 months to reach from England to India, or to America for that matter, and managing the whole empire where sun never set. Was it possible without data? There was a huge amount of data generated, much more than we are generating today. We are generating today is in a different thing. But Macaulay's education plan entirely focused on creation of data. In the scheme of things, clerks were more important. Creation of data to be sent to London, to be processed, and to be governed worldwide. So data is not new, but we are looking at different data today to look into the type of new data emerging and how to handle it for governance. We have esteemed panelists. I'll request Professor Satish Agnihotri of Professor Sitara IIT, who has a privilege of both being an Indian Army Service officer as well as professor of IIT Bombay. Give a big hand to him.
Do you have the presentation, please? Yeah. Just a small anecdote. When I joined IIT as a professor, one of my bosses, who was earlier Secretary Shipping, his first question was what only a bureaucrat can ask. He says, IIT Bombay join kar rahe ho? I said, professor. He says, full time? I said, full time. Is there a precedent? I said, only a bureaucrat can ask that question. Be that as it may. Next slide, please. I'm flagging certain issues, sounding a note of caution. If I appear like a pessimist, please pardon me, because I think optimists are needed in a society. They make aeroplanes. Pessimists are needed because they make parachutes. So I'm giving some glimpse on the parachute side rather than the aeroplane side. अभी तक जितना उड़ लिए हवा में हम लोग ठीक था, बट थोड़ा सा सोबरिंग करने की जरूरत है. Now, governance has been data-driven. I mean, he was kind enough to stick to British Empire. Even Todermal's time, the whole Malguzari was data-based. Okay, so question is, has good governance been data-driven? And with all our experience, we put our hand on our heart. Fits and starts, yes. Systematically, no. So the question that you are asking is, today there is a scope. When we talk of data here, we are really talking in terms of digital data, the analytics, and so on and so forth. So good governance can be scaled up through better utilization with support of IT. And some of the examples you heard in the previous session. Therefore, the importance of digital data. However, we need to discuss some quality issues and some new ways of analysis. Next slide, please. Yeah, in these new ways of analysis, the colleague from Madhya Pradesh did mention about the heat maps. Heat maps is just one part of it. The geospatial analysis is extremely important because data tells you whether the shoe pinches. Maps tell you where does the shoe pinch. और कई बार होता यह है कि चुभता जूता अंगूठे में है, मरहम लगाते हैं एड़ी पे, क्योंकि एड़ी is politically powerful. So that is something we have to keep in mind. Then we also have to be worried about buzzwords. Thank God we only heard AIML today. The other day there was a complete non-science student who was saying, time India moves to quantum computing. I said, मैंने physics पढ़ा है, अब मेरी ये कहने की औकात नहीं है. So we also need to be a little worried about the buzzwords. Not that I have anything against quantum computing, but all I am saying is AIML, pre-AIML, there are number of techniques which can be very useful and very insightful. So one may say कि और भी गम है ज़माने में AIML के सिवा. So let's look at some of those. And that is where the quality of the digitalized data comes in. Because if the quality is not good, then you may run into the problem of what I call GIGO, garbage in and garbage out. That will get hugely magnified if you get into automated systems. Okay? Dashboards. And this data needs a quality check which is concurrent. There is no point in doing a post-mortem after 2 years. And I'll give you some hilarious examples from Maharashtra itself. And ground truthing is needed, because when you go to ground truthing, you suddenly realize that the ANM is saying loose motion cases are not to be reported as diarrhea. Diarrhea is to be reported as diarrhea. फिर आप सर पे हाथ रख के बैठ जाते हो कि अरे loose motion has been misclassified. Okay? And then user-friendly dashboards have a usefulness, not just for citizen. I think there's a huge need for in-house capacity in government today, so that we don't surrender to consultants. कई जगह पे मैंने देखा है कि हमारा analysis and therefore हमारा decision making system कई बार consultants के पास हम गिरवी रख देते हैं. I think within the government there is a huge need for learning it, and it's not a rocket science. Chokalingam will bear me out. We are teaching now some of the medical officers in the field, not even the professors in the medical colleges, and we see there not just hunger, their grasp. So I think there's a need for government system being strengthened with these tools of analysis. I'll just give you a glimpse. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now what does this simple map show, heat map? It shows you what was the situation during NFHS 4, what is the situation during NFHS 5. And I personally feel that political executive appreciates maps far better than you and me. हम लोग ग्राफ आप करते रहते हैं. They appreciate, they have an innate understanding of the geographical situation. Yeah, next please. Yeah. Now, I'm showing this because we talk of birth doses. Now what happens is, just go to next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now this is a very telling map. आजकल हेल्थ में हर जगह 0 बर्थ डोज का गुणगान हो रहा है. what you suddenly realize, the same mother, the same Asha, the same Anganwadi worker, the same efficient or corrupt system, the child gets BCG, the child gets OPV, the child doesn't get vitamin A and hepatitis. Same child. Is it a supply chain problem? Is it a governance problem? We haven't looked at it. And when I showed it to someone, he says, sir, 36 साल हो गए सर्विस के, ऐसे कोई बताता नहीं कि ऐसे कर सकते हैं. This is no AI ML. Okay? Next, please. So we in IIT, courtesy Health Department, Government of Maharashtra, did some extremely insightful analysis. Birth seasonality, ANC coverage. In ANC coverage, we realized everybody talks of the need for deworming because of the helminth problem. And albendazole turns out to be the stepchild of the ANC services. Do we need AI/ML? We don't look at the data and analyze it seriously. We looked at preterm birth patterns. I will show you some cases. We analyze stillbirth patterns in India. And you may say, अब IIT वाले stillbirth का क्या जानते हैं? So just 1 month ago, me and some of my students, our paper was published in Lancet Regional. So I think we must be talking some sense. I jokingly told the kids, इतना मत उछलो, Lancet Regional है. So one of them told me, सर पंजाबी में कहते हैं Lancet होता है, regional हो तो क्या हुआ? Okay. Even snake bite data in HMIS has not been analyzed. Maharashtra and West Bengal has interesting things to learn from it. Okay. We have also developed a user-friendly dashboard which told us that you have these creatures called nil report, which we ignore, zero report, which we ignore, outliers, which we completely ignore, implausible data, we don't look at it. So I'll go in actual examples. And what happens is when you do concurrent detection instead of post-mortem, you can do mid-course correction. This can happen at the level of state, Delhi. It can happen at the level of Rashtrachi, Kutli Rajdhani, Arthik Rajdhani, Mumbai. And it can also happen in Ahmednagar. Ahmednagar, it happens, it's a ground reality because deliveries happen in urban areas. In some other places, it could be data fudging. And finally, I am asking one question that rural, we can still understand infrastructural constraints. Why in urban, these things don't get automated? Next slide. I'll skip this because it will take a little more time. Just go to next one, please. Next. Yeah, here we just did a simple analysis of preterm births and low birth weight. And we suddenly found that there are peaks of low birth weight which will automatically relate to wasting among the children. We haven't made that connection. Next, please. Yeah, now this is interesting. I'm not naming the districts on purpose because I asked this question to the medical officer. कि ये अगर सच्चा होगा डेटा तो कम से कम एक अविश्वास प्रस्ताव जिला परिषद में तो आना चाहिए, विधानसभा में ना भी आए तो सब हंसने लगे, कहते हैं हाँ सर लेकिन ये डेटा गलत है, वेरी कॉन्फिडेंटली, लेकिन ये डेटा गलत है. ऐसे यार फिर जब अगस्त में गलत था तो जनवरी तक करेक्ट क्यों नहीं हुआ? मग आम्ही करत नाही, आम्ही वर्ष संपलं की करतो. So you do post-mortem. Next. Yeah, I was mentioning about this preterm birth and wasting. We did ground truthing and we did cross-check, not ground truthing, using NFHS data. And we see certain sense in looking at this. Now the Sindhudurg and Ratnagiri says, अच्छा आमच्याकडे असा problem है का? It's a simple data. One must get into analysis. Next, please. Now, maps are not the only way. Even our simple humble pie chart will be able to show you who accounts for a disproportionate part of the problem, who is proportionately contributing less. So this is something which any of us can do for any state. This is just for Maharashtra pneumonia, HMIs is just a sample. Next. Yeah. Can you believe a district, and don't laugh at Maharashtra, there are other states where this thing happens. No pneumonia, no asthma, sepsis, tuberculosis, AFP, and measles and malaria for 3 years on a trot, month after month. So I said, phone करके पूछ लो, रामराज अगर आ गया हो तो हम लोग वहीं सब जाएं सीखने के लिए. Then the officer to whom I was showing it, he said, नहीं हे monthly व्हायला पाहिजे. So it must happen month after month. So therefore I am insisting that we should go for concurrent analysis. I'll just show you 2 more slides which you can have a hearty laugh at. Next. Again, not naming the district. Now, if in a particular district suddenly complicated pregnancies treated with blood transfusion rise from single digits suddenly to 67, is anybody waking up? Does AI wake up? My student put in ChatGPT information about me, asking कि मेरे प्रोफेसर पे एक कविता लिख दो. उसमें उसने लिखा था वो 1970 बैच के IAS ऑफिसर हैं. I am 1980. ChatGPT did not correct it. Next. Same thing. Deaths occurring at emergency department. और ये मैंने मेडिकल ऑफिसर्स को पूछा कि इसमें तो अविश्वास प्रस्ताव तो विधानसभा में आना चाहिए. आता नहीं है क्योंकि डेटा कोई चेक नहीं करता है, अगर सही भी हुआ तो, एंड मोस्ट प्रोबेबली ये डेटा गलत है. So the caution that I am giving here is, let's look at digital data, let us concurrently evaluate it, let us correct it. As corrections begin, we have seen data quality improving, and NBS, he's still sitting there, he will bear me out in Orissa. This was what we steadfastly did, and our data quality in a notorious area like ICDS, child malnutrition, had improved hugely. So, short point, yes, data, digital data, yes, it's the person who should control the machine and not the machine and the technique which should control the person. As a responsible government, we owe it to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And you are not a pessimist, but you are someone who is warning us. Don't get carried away by tall talks of only data, data, data or AI, but be grounded, and as the traditional bureaucrats worked, you concentrate on the core data and the people. Thank you, sir. Now I will request Mr. Kamal Tas from Vadwani Institute of Technology and Policy. By the way, Sitara IIT, Vadwani, as well as Gokhale, they are partners with Yashada. Partners with Yashada in data-driven governance. We have signed MOUs with them, and we are cooperating with them in training our officers to use the data for governance. Over to you, Mr. Kamal Das.
Respected Chair and honorable dignitaries, thank you for the opportunity to be here. As a new organization, next slide please. I'll just take a minute to talk about Vadwani Institute. We are a one-of-a-kind institute which has been in existence for less than 2 years. We have helped support government officials on enabling tech-centric policy, reviewing them and providing suggestions for them. Help them with strategic projects, how to do RFPs, SOW, MSAs on projects on emerging technologies. And we do technology academy training on emerging technologies. And all of this is free of cost, pro bono for the government. Next slide, please. We have 5 core courses that we do. We have Introduction to Emerging Technologies, Data-Driven Decision Making, which talks about dashboards and data analytics, Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning for Good Governance, and a course on blockchain and drones. We have partnership with Capacity Building Commission. We are also partner with IPS in front. We have Mission Karmayogi, we are Karmayogi Bharat, as well as Yashta. And we are very proud to say that in the last year, we have been able to train more than 2,000 government officials across 11 states and 11 central ministries. With that, I'll move to the next slide, please. Today, we will cover 3 core themes that I want to discuss. We want to talk about breaking down data silos, proactive governance, and data technology which can overcome some fault lines in the society. Next slide, please. So theme 1, as even the Deputy Chief Minister said today morning, and Sujata Madam said yesterday, we have a lot of data in the government. But one of the problems is that the data often is in different silos. And one of the key things that we need to do to enable what Agnihotri sir said, to prevent inconsistency in data, is to get different siloed data to talk to each other. That is the only way we can improve decision making, because unless all the data repositories talking to each other, there will be a lot of inconsistency, inefficiencies in the system. It will lead to greater transparency and accountability, as well as enhance citizen service. Next slide, please. I'll just take an example of the Finance Ministry. Our CEO, Prakash Kumarji, who's not there today, and he was the inaugural CEO of the GST network. It took 2 years for him to get the Income Tax Department and GST network to talk to each other, even though both were in the same ministry. And once it did get together, we realized there's so much revenue leakage that was captured. There were companies reporting crores and crores, thousands of crores of revenues for 10 plus years, but not reporting any profits. And there were companies reporting multiple profits, but not reporting any revenue in GST. All because the data was siloed till they both started to integrate the data. We are working with a few states on dropout rates in school. If you look at it in India, for every 100 children who are in class 1, only 50 reach class 12. We have 50% dropout in the class 12 years of school education. And our GR rate, which is for higher education, is less than 30%. So we obviously know the number is pretty poor, and there's a lot we can do to improve the demographic dividend that we have. But a lot of things, again, with siloed information, only with school data, we cannot predict dropouts. Parents' details, such as their education income, are very critical to assess who will stay on and who will drop off. And as we go ahead and add more data from different sources, the data will be richer and provide inconsistencies. We are working with the Women and Child Development Ministry and the Public Distribution System, and we obviously realize, as Agyodhya was saying, that there have been periods of time when young babies have had heights increased by 10 centimeters in a month. So maybe they had a lot of Boost and Horlicks in that month. But conversely, in a few months later, we find that heights decreasing by 10 centimeters, which we thought was slightly difficult to digest. So those are areas that we can look at if we have proper data from the start and concurrent quality checks there. And also, if you look at areas where we have targeted population in the measures and outcomes, we want to have better health outcomes. From Anganwadi data and others, if we see there's huge wasting and stunting in certain districts, certain areas, can we just investigate and look at the PDS systems in those areas, make sure they are delivering accurately? Because the combination of Anganwadi plus PDS, given how much money the government is putting into it, should ensure there are no wastages and there are no stunting with our children. Moving on, please. So the next theme I'll talk about is proactive government. And this is something that can be done, is moving from more reactive to more proactive government, and data will enable that. Data can also be used to monitor which schemes are working and not. And a lot of us are working, many states I already know of, Karnataka, Punjab, Haryana, are working on the concept of one government where if a citizen already enrolled for 3 government schemes, and the 4th government scheme has the same eligibility, why should the citizen, he or she, apply for that? Why can't we have proactive governance where they say, hey, you're already eligible for this, let me auto-enroll you unless there is any reason we should not. And that's a proactive government that we want to reach. We had Mr. Sanjay Vijay Kumar talk about Corona Safe and other health outbreaks. With data, we are able to sometimes predict, not always, but better than having no data, predict where there may be outbreak and take proactive action. At least we'll have some ICU beds and others ready to be able to prevent issues. One nation, one ration card happened in a lot of sense in a reactive way. But what I'm very happy to see, as Srimati Mithili Sethi said yesterday about the migration of some people in Maharashtra and others, just because people are migrating from one district to another, they don't get benefits of Anganwadi. And therefore the metrics for the children deteriorate after they come back. In some districts, we already started to pilot one nation, one Anganwadi. And that is a proactive step that we're taking, given the fact that we understand this is because people are losing out on health services, because the children are losing on health services because they don't have access to Anganwadis. So from one nation, one ration card, to one nation, one Anganwadi, to now we're also looking and trialing, I think, one nation, one school in certain places. And all of these are proactive steps to take to ensure that we have proactive government that is taking care of these issues. Next slide, please. We had IPS additional DG Sri Narasimha discuss about Trinetra yesterday, and traffic policing is areas where we can definitely use more data and can be used for proactive governance. As Dr. Srivatsa Krishnan yesterday had said, he wanted to use ChatGPT for an article that he's publishing today. So this slide is also created using ChatGPT 3. So all the text here, except for the text in brackets, is by ChatGPT 3. When I asked, what can government do to be proactive, this is the response I got. So obviously these are very common things that all of us are aware of. I'll not spend too much time here. We can go to the next slide, please. Again, talking about fault lines, both Professor Satish Agnihotri as well as Dr. Anurag Ashwa will talk about that, and they've worked a lot on these areas. And I'm sure Dr. Anurag will talk about it in the next few minutes, so I'll not take too much time. But going to the next slide, please. One of the things I just want to lay out, and again, because we understand graphs better, let us say we want to implement a policy previous slide, please. Implement a policy benefiting agricultural laborers, and we want to focus on districts with more than 50% agricultural laborers. I hope you didn't notice the slide too well. Which states would you focus on? Any guesses, any names here? Well, I've done this in 11 states already, and the usual suspects are pretty common. Any name from you all? Which states would you focus on? 50% of the population, rural population, there are more than 50% of the rural population is agricultural laborers. Which districts, which states would they be in? Bihar, UP, Haryana, Punjab, those are the common names. Next slide, please. And when we look at the actual data, one of the things that we realize is Maharashtra, Gujarat, AP, TN. We have Anand and which one? Amravati coming on here alphabetically. We don't notice them. We forget that some of the common places that we are looking at are missed, which is where data will tell us that sometimes our biases and just the news we read biases us to a lot of the thoughts that we have. And while I'm not saying Bihar, UP don't have it, a lot of the common names. Possible, that's one. Okay. Okay, sir. So, sure, sir. So, this is the impact of migration and other things. So, obviously, there are other reasons that lead to this, but this is what the data is showing us when we look at the analysis there. And obviously, we can do a root cause analysis, why it is happening, how it is happening, and how to elevate this. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Abhishek Singh had in the morning itself shown us how we can link Bhashini with GPT-3 and link it to WhatsApp or telephone to get citizen services and citizen response in the mother tongue. And that's a great service that can be done. Similarly, we are working with Higher Education Ministry and others. How do we have education outcomes by each district? Where do you set up the new institutions so that there is focus on making sure certain disenfranchised groups like SC/ST or ladies are focused on? Similarly, with analyzing data on income and employment, the government can analyze where you can have areas with high poverty and provide certain benefits there. There are a lot of areas where AI/ML can be used. So the option is there, and happy to work with all of you. We have people from 30 states here. Happy to work with all of you to enable more capacity building on those lines. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Kamal Das ji, not only for the session, but as well as for helping the government across the country to use data for governance. Now I request Dr. Anurag Asawa, Associate Dean of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. As you know, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics is very well known in economic as well as public policy. We are going to have a public policy course for bureaucrats of Maharashtra, which will be a joint course for bureaucrats as well as students of the Gokhale Institute. And I invite him to share his thoughts on using data, especially economic data, for governance.
Thank you, sir. So when yesterday I was listening to him, to IAS in the Shayari, and similarly data in the Shayari, I'm just starting with one line. तो सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मैं चाहता हूं कि सूरत बदलनी चाहिए. मेरे सीने में नहीं, तेरे सीने में सही, पर आग जरूर जलनी चाहिए. So since morning, yesterday, I am listening to all the bureaucrats and IS officers talking about their dashboard, what they are putting their efforts, how the data being collected, how they are improving the system. Really kudos to all of them, because I have been working very closely with the different department of Maharashtra government, with the MERC, MWRA, as well as many, many more PMC. So when we talk about data and data governance, database governance, as Sir has already discussed about that, public policy does not come without any data. So today I could not prepare the presentation, but I will try to put my point more powerful so that the PowerPoint presentation may not be missing by you. So let's talk about that, the way we use the data. So we are currently working with Pune Municipal Corporation, and we try to understand those 11 villages who are part of the PMC. When we try to understand how the development plan can be made, when we realize that the data which is not available with us, because the data of 2011 data cannot be used for the 2021, when you talk about progress of next 30 to 20 years, so we approach to PMC and try to understand, can we have some information about how the density of the population is those in 11 villages, and surprisingly we got the GIS data from that, and based on those GIS data, we could find out the sampling pattern, where the density of the population is mentioned over there, and we use those information to get our sampling and collect the information. So one of the use we did for that, simply a second work which we did with the affordable housing, and those part when we tried to understand, okay, again that was the borderline of the 2009-10, and we did not have any information, okay, from where we can start data. So census was the very handy for us to understand how and where we can start. So those information which is already available with the public and with the public domain from the government, we utilize it, and really thanks for all of you. Similarly, we use several data set from UDICE share, then we have a data on the Indira Awas Yojana. There's several data set we generally use. But yes, there are issues with the data availability and the type of data and the quality of data. I just want to talk about at least one set of data which is being discussed and which is being used on PLFS data. So we are working with the PLFS data, and when we started working on that, it was the most difficult for us to understand how the data has been collected and stored. So my first submission for the government officials and the system, the way we put the data, really it is so difficult to understand how to get that data and how to download it. Once the downloaded process is over, now it becomes in so many complex structure, 7, 8, 10, 15 folders, and then we have to understand which folder is talking about which particular type of data, and then the common IDs, which generally it is seen that it is available. But unfortunately, those common IDs are very difficult to find out. And I was discussing with the people who really behind this, Professor Amitabh Kundu, who was visiting the Gokul Institute. I asked about him, okay, if you have provided me data, and this is a basically very complex methodology they created. I will say very complex but very effective, which was basically on the data set they collect 4 times in a year. I hope you understand, 4 times in a year to around 50 to 60,000 households, and already 60 variables they are collecting data. But when we try to differentiate the data from round 1 to round 2, round 2 to round 3, the common IDs were not available to us. And that's what the big difficulty we had. Okay, if I have to find out the impact of migration, somebody has been counted in particular one round, and second round he has been removed or he has been left out. Point has been given the questionnaire, any household is not being touched again or not been visited again, that information is not available. And it was very difficult to find out, okay, what impact is happening over the period. The basis was, collecting of data was that, how over the period, the impact of labor, impact of migration, impact of employment and non-employment generation is happening or not. But we were a little bit of uncomfortable position to find out what the impact is happening over here. Similarly, I was collecting some data about the COVID impact in Maharashtra. So there also the same issue we had. There was 7, 8 different folders were there, and in each folder, the one side household data was there, some side family data was there, some side impact of COVID was there. But when we tried to compact it, okay, somebody has been collected data from one household. If I have to find out how the impact of COVID has happened on their employability, their income, their we can say health structure, etc. But those relationship was really difficult to match it out. So this is where I know where I have hundreds of examples where we benefited with the data available on the government side, the efforts put by the government official to give the another example, I'm working currently on the migration of Katkaris, like basically which is on 4 districts they are, and I was amazed that in 2019 there was a census survey was done. It is so difficult to catch those migrants because they migrate 3-4 times in a year, but the data was collected, but I could not find the data in the raw format. I got the data about which is the report format, which I could not use it. So we are working on the data, and about the use of technology, I will be very happy to share with all of you. It is not now. In 2008-9 onwards, whatever data we are collecting, we are not collecting on pen and paper. We are collecting either on the PDs or we can say or software, etc. And those data we generally keep on the website available. If somebody would like to use it, they can use it, number one. And number two, about the e-governance and the benefits of the data. Like we're talking about the PLFS data, I would be very happy to share all of you. Majority of the people, they don't know how to download, the R software and the Python software, because this is where they can use it. What the Gokhale Institute has done, they have downloaded the data 4 years, 16 rounds, each state, each district, rural and urban, in Excel format, and kept on the website so that anybody who wish to use that PLFS data, please remember, there is no other data set available to find out the employability and non-employability in the country. So that data is very crucial for a government to take a decision. But with that data we have kept in the Excel format, so people can use it. So this is the one way we are trying to put information to have a better governance. And the second time, one very important survey got done by the NSSO, first time in the country, how Indians are using their time use survey. You will believe, you will not, 94 lakh observations are there. And for each state, each district, and different types of population, how they are spending their time from morning 4 to evening 9. That data is available. But unfortunately, because the data, again, is not in public domain, but easily usable, very few people are using that. So again, I will be sharing information with you. That data also we have kept in Excel format for each state-wise, each district-wise, and each event-wise. So this is where we are trying to put ourselves also to make a e-governance, to make a data available everyone, so that the information should be disseminated, people should be using that data, and they should be able to use the information to have a better governance on that. In the last, I just want to say again 2 lines, I hope you will allow me. तो जुस्तजू हो अगर तो सफर कहाँ खत्म होता है, जुस्तजू हो अगर तो सफर कहाँ खत्म होता है, यूं तो हर मोड़ पे मंजिल का गुमा होता है. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Anurag ji. Thanks for informing that even though we have data from chicken to chicken box, but we don't keep the data in a way which can be exchanged. We take note of that. Now I request Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan of IIT Bombay to come and speak on video analytics.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I'm heading a Center for Digital Health at IIT Bombay, and we are very happy to share that we are a National Disease Modeling Consortium. And credit to Dr. Satish Agnihotri to get us the keyword national. It is meant to be data-driven, but as was rightly pointed out, it's very important to be ensuring that there's due diligence in the data. Thanks to this work on video analytics for security and compliance applications, we benefited on 2 fronts. If data is going to be actually fed towards building applications, the sanity check on the data is there by design. That's very important. A lot of academia work on research problems driven by data, but they just land up in publications. So thankfully, we had this National Center of Excellence in Technology for Internal Security at IIT Bombay. And thanks to also work with Ministry of Rural Development, we developed a bunch of products for video surveillance analytics, which got commercially licensed. Mr. Yogesh Ray from the company to whom the company the work got licensed is also here in the audience. Of course, this work has been deployed at several locations. Ministry of Rural Development, Indian Navy, UP State Police, Indian Army, SPG, IB, and so on. Next slide. So there are 3 key products. One, real-time alerts from CCTV footages. Second is analytics on footages in an offline mode, which can be a lot more thorough. And the third is what you see in the middle, compliance and quality monitoring in classroom settings. Now, each of these actually required the models to be very much customized to the end user settings. And that led to the development of another open source software, open source platform called Decile, Data Efficient Machine Learning. There's lots of data. How do you weed out the noise from the signal? Dr. Agnihotri gave some beautiful examples. And this is all over, getting the signal and weeding out the noise. This is possible using machine learning itself, and that's what we made possible. In fact, all data is not necessarily required. Imagine having to fit light bulbs in this room, right? And now the room is well lit. Do you really need light bulbs in every square inch here? No. We all know that the light bulbs should be fit in order to maximize coverage, especially looking at the occupancy of the room, right? Now, data is like light bulbs, right? And you want to pick instances, label instances such that there's maximum coverage, there's representativeness in the feature space. And therefore, I feel while ChatGPT-like systems are welcome, they are certainly not the end of the road, because the localization, solving the 10% of the errors can take up 90% of the time. And that's exactly what led us to the building the backbone engine of our work. Submodular optimization, submodular functions correspond to the number of light bulbs you want to fit in a room to illuminate it well. There is diminishing returns, like you have diminishing returns with rasgullas that you ate during your lunch. Next slide. So the capabilities, we have several capabilities: face recognition, human intuition, crowd detection, and so on. There's a laundry list here. But again, localization, I'll give an example. Now, if you look at most of the publicly available crowd counting data sets, they're very good at detecting crowd counts in the range of 1 to 50. Right? The models that you build, you apply them for crowd counts with 100. The standard deviation is almost as high as the crowd that you're trying to detect. This is the problem, the fragility to bias in the data. ChatGPT is no exception to that, as was rightly pointed out. So the crowd counting, how do you make sure that the standard deviation for crowd count in Kumbh Mela or very high crowd counts is actually non-embarrassing? This is exactly the technology we have built. It's not just, off-the-shelf models being put together. We do research, which is very India-centric, Indian context-centric. So all of these are in that league. And the example of crowd counting, I had elaborated, but I could give similar stories about all the others. Next slide, please. The other key is, backed by our research, which is ongoing, published in top fora, we also have, with the company evolved, the entire engine so that we can deploy models as we build them. Now, we have gone through almost 3 iterations of this. The first we built at IIT Bombay, the second in collaboration with the company, and IITs cannot build software. They're not meant to do that, right? So therefore, the third version, they built it themselves. It scales very well, scales with the number of cameras. It kind of is seamless in terms of also in integration with end applications. It could be hooters, it could be alert walls, and so on. You see the snapshots below are actually from the very sensitive line of control regions. So this is the efficacy. The model is very sensitive in detecting people even in SNOCAD background. Next slide. This also is deployed at the Ministry of Development, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kaushal Yojana, the training centers. Now you can see the uniform detection for girls in green and boys in red. Again, very precise. It's only possible by localization, by data efficient learning. Data may appear to be very cheap, but honestly speaking, there's a big premium you pay and there's redundancy, as I pointed out earlier. So we want to be both data efficient and also compute efficient. We want to make sure that these models can be deployed on the edge. Imagine a rural area where you really can't afford to deploy even a PC. Can you use an edge device and deploy it there, aggregate the statistics, and have the more sophisticated computation done at your server? Yes, that's certainly possible. And you could configure each camera for different kind of analytics, as you see in the figure on the leftmost end. Next slide, please. And there's another project we've worked on, which is Rescue Night. locating missing people and being able to triage between the missing person photo information, biometric information, and going forward even speech verification. So in reality, data is not just unimodal, it's multimodal. It's not just about videos. There are many other modalities that you need to be able to triangulate with. Next slide. So summarily, a scalable and modular architecture, there's a hardware agnostic solution, real-time and configurable alerts, supporting being able to scale with thousands of cameras. All this is really, as you can understand, coming together of government forces, the academic research, and what companies are good at, building software, building products, building solutions. I think the time is really ripe for these three to come together, because I remember attending an organic farming farmers workshop almost 10 years back. That's another interest I have. I share that with Professor Agnihotri. And at the end of that organic farming workshop, there was a very one-line summary, right? The best organic farming is a farmer's feet on the ground. The techniques are secondary. You need to get immersed. I mean, the good thing is we developed this by actually making field trips. And when you work with companies and the government, the academia also wake up to realistic problems. Next slide. So, yeah, this is the evolution. 2017, we had the first prototype, and thankfully now we have lots of letters of appreciation, lots of usages, and obviously the company is itself making its own sales. The other point I wanted to highlight, again going back to Professor Agnihotri, who's a very good friend by now, he made this, he actually issued this warning, right? We want the user to be on the driver's wheel, right? So I remember writing a paper in 2017 for machine translation. We called it a machine-assisted human translation system. And thankfully, the same paradigm has actually launched us into this big project, Project Udan, which is being used extensively by the Ministry of Education for their tons of books, translating them using technical terminology. And it's really possible when you really put the human in the driver's wheel. We have tried to do the same thing. Video analytics, you can view it as a product, but we emphasize it's not just a product, it's a solution. Because that 10% customization through smart data efficient learning can actually add 100 times more value. Next slide. So, yeah, we are very grateful that we, thanks to this work, we won this National E-Governance Award, the gold category. Thank you very much. I'll conclude here.
Thank you, Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan. I am hopeful that the states which are present at this point of time will take it forward to use that. And now I request Sri Abhishek Singh to speak a few words on a topic of his interest.
Yeah, I know we are near to the end of the session and everybody is keen to conclude, but as requested by ma'am, I will just, do you have my slides? I'll just quickly go through some concepts on data-driven decision making and how, in order to ensure that we are able to do what all has been spoken today with regard to impact data has in governance, impact data can have for policy making, impact data can be used for rightful decision making, whether it's GIS or whether it's any kind of data analytics which gives us trends like the slides that were shown about Poshan track from the ICDS, how it can help us to make better decisions. So what else is being done and how we can leverage it by linking it up to the Karam Yogi Bharat platform that also we are building. So next please. This you are already aware of, like data is regarded very often as the new oil. Our Honorable Prime Minister at several events have said that how we need to use data to empower the citizens, how we need to use data for better governance, how we need data for our better decision making. Next please. Next slide. So like what is the potential of data in governance? Some of it is already highlighted, like how data can be used for improving public service delivery, how it can be used for inclusive development, how we can ensure that we use it for development of the entire country. Because sometimes when we look at macro numbers, we might see that we are doing very well and we are growing very fast, but we break it down to state-wise data, district-wise data, village-wise data, block-wise data, like aspirational districts have done, and then we see that across various indicators, different districts, different blocks, different villages might be performing differently. And when we start focusing on the so-called districts which are not doing well, or so-called blocks or villages which are not doing well, by using data-driven approaches, then we are able to bring up the average and bring up the overall achievements level that we can have. So inclusive development, data plays a big role. Then improving policy making and program evaluation is very obvious based on what we have shared so far. Then empowering citizens, empowering digital nagariks, as we say, how we can give the citizens basic data which ensures that they are in control of their lives, they are able to decide which school to go to, which hospitals to go to. So this kind of things really empower citizens. And of course, when we use data and when we link it to the buzzwords like AI and ML, we can bring in efficiency in governance and public service delivery. Next. So how we have come to this level, like especially with, if you look at the last, next please, if you look at the last few years of implementation of Digital India, so we have implemented several projects. In fact, more than 200 projects, 4,000 services. We have almost 33 crore transactions happening daily, digital transactions. And with a plethora of projects, both at the national level and the state level, there are a lot of digitization happens. And while digitization happens, we get a lot of data. And when you get that data, analyzing them and using them can help in achieving the objectives that I mentioned earlier. And while we are building this, how do we use it to create data platforms which can integrate, which can build in, which can integrate government departments as a whole. And from silo-based public service delivery, now we are using this approach to build in a whole of government approach. Because when we look at citizens, a citizen doesn't care whether a program is being implemented by agriculture department or cooperation department or rural development department. Citizen looks at a government as a whole. So using data and using common identifiers like Aadhaar that we have, we can interlink databases and we can ensure that citizens are able to access government as in a one organic whole, rather than going to different departments for different services. Next, please. These are a few examples that we always refer to as India Stack, the Aadhaar, UPI, CoWIN. These are basic building blocks, the DigiLocker, Arogya Setu, Diksha, the e-learning platform, the Umang, the mobile app. So these projects, these initiatives which have been taken mostly in partnership with the state governments have constituted the basic building blocks of India Stack. And today, as we kind of go to the G20 forum and all, more and more countries are looking at adopting many of these solutions. Several countries have approached Government of India for replicating Aadhaar, UPI, DigiLocker. CoWIN has been offered as a digital public good. So all these projects have become a part of the digital public goods, and they all rely on basic data-driven approach. Next. So Aadhaar, we all know that how it has done 1.3 billion numbers, 79 billion authorizations, 33 billion eKYCs, and today a lot of projects that we are implementing are relying on Aadhaar as a common identifier across databases for better public service delivery, and that becomes the core of our data-driven approach. Next. API Setu is again something which I would like to mention, is that while it's not a public facing project, but API Setu, the API Setu.gov.in, it has got almost 2,000 APIs published, and it basically integrates various applications together. The example that we showed in the morning with regard to integration of WhatsApp with Bhashini and with the ChatGPT was also with APIs. The APIs are nothing but application programming interfaces which connects various systems, various databases for better service delivery. And that's where the core of data-driven approach also lies. Like how can the data of, say, for example, Manrega beneficiaries and ration card beneficiaries be shared with, say, Ayushman Bharat? Because very often the eligibility conditions for Manrega or ration card or Ayushman Bharat is almost the same. So why should a citizen need to apply for all these separately? If one department, if rural development department has identified somebody to be a Manrega beneficiary and the food public distribution has identified somebody to be a ration card beneficiary, can the health ministry department, NHA, not give him a Ayushman Bharat without he applying for it? So linking various applications through APIs can actually help realize the dream of proactive service delivery without making the citizens run from pillar to post or from portal to portal or app to app. So that's what we need to aspire with this API Setu initiative. Next. CoWIN, we all are aware of it. I will not spend time on it. How it has led to kind of ensuring that 2 billion doses have been given in a country as big and as complex as India. Next. So one initiative which is again helping us link the dots is the DigiLocker initiative, which cuts across right from the birth of a child. When it goes to an Anganwadi center, his basic data with regard to his nutrition, with regard to his height and weight are captured on the portion tracker, then that data is shared with the education system, because the same child goes to the education system, and if a child has been identified in the ICDS system to need to have learning disabilities or any other kind of disability, that data is transferred to the education system, and that helps him to get better education care as he goes forward. Then that data goes integrated with the education certificates, 10th and 12th, then to the academic bank of credits, to driving licenses, to voter cards. So entire horizontal profile of a citizen becomes available in the DigiLocker project, and it allows API-based verification of credentials, and that ensures that all systems within the government, even if being implemented by different departments, can be interlinked, can be connected with each other. Next. Then, of course, Umang is one common interface so that citizens can access multiple services through one common interface, which helps them to not need to download multiple apps. So one app which gives access to more than 1,600 public services. Next, please. Next. So when we look at data-based AI applications, the MyGov chatbot was implemented during COVID, which allowed citizens to access COVID-related information. Then in 2021, started allowing people to get access to vaccination services, to booking vaccination, to downloading vaccination certificates, and now it's even providing access to DigiLocker documents wherein you can download your PAN card, your Aadhaar card, your academic credentials on a WhatsApp number without having to go to any portal. Just go to 9013151515. This service is already live, and you see, if you say download COVID certificate, it will help you download the certificate. If you want to download your driving license, it can help you download the driving license. So all these services have been made available on the AI chatbot that was launched by MeitY. Next. Then, of course, another application of data-based AI application was with the DRDO did, wherein X-rays were used with an AI model. X-ray images were used to kind of diagnose COVID-related induced lung damage. So this was again an application where data that was captured, tagged, annotated, was used to kind of do diagnosis. And there have been similar applications wherein image recognition has been used to diagnose cataract, been used to diagnose diabetic retinopathy, breast cancer, agriculture. These solutions are being used wherein data from the soil health card data, the moisture data that comes from sensors in agricultural fields is linked to the IMD weather data, and then it advises the farmers for how long he should run the submersible, whether he should irrigate his crops for 2 hours or 3 hours. The farmer gets alert on his mobile phone. So that data mapped with other sources of data helps in better decision making for the citizens, whether it's for diagnosis of healthcare or agriculture diseases or for irrigation. Next. See, the biggest thing that comes in, like when we know that there is so much of application of use of data, what are the key challenges that we have? And when we look at that, we find that though we have an open data portal called data.gov.in, which has got more than 500,000 data sets, but when we did a deep dive analysis of that, we find that there is a lot of challenges. Like most of this data that is published there, sometimes it's not geographically complete, or time series data is not there. There's no institutional framework for data sharing. Very often, if a department has got data and if it is shared to some other department, they don't even know whether it's okay for them to share, or if something go wrong, and if they have to share, what are the safeguards they should take. They have no exposure to privacy preservation tools, anonymization tools. There is lack of adherence to metadata standards and data standards that makes data almost unusable. So a lot of cleaning up is required. So there is a need for having a mechanism that every department is able to identify high value data sets, and they are able to kind of make data available in a format so that it becomes usable for researchers, for industry, for startups, and for government in general. And the basic problem that comes in is that data management teams are not there. And wherever there are team members also, they are not trained in basic use of data analytics. So that's a challenge that we are trying to solve through the Karam Yogi Bharat initiative. On the iGot Karam Yogi platform, we have several data analysis courses, data science courses, use of case studies for use of data for various public applications. And what we are doing is that across the country, we have already 300,000 users on the iGot Karam Yogi platform. We are working with state government, signing MOUs. We have already signed MOUs with Madhya Pradesh and with Andhra Pradesh with the Karmyogi Bharat and trying to ensure that whatever content is available at the national level is made available to state government employees, and at the same time any content that is available in a state, especially with institutions like Yashoda, with the Gokhale Institute, if there is content that is available within the state for state specific issues or content in the regional language, that content is also hosted on the I Got Karmyogi platform, and that is used to train the personnel in a particular state. So I would be following it up with the state, with ma'am especially, and trying to see how quickly we can sign the MOU and try to move forward. We have also proposed to organize a regional conference of Karmyogi Bharat in Maharashtra, wherein we will be addressing these issues in greater detail. So that's with regard to the Karmyogi Bharat and the linkage with using data for better decision making and ensuring that we are able to address other gaps that exist in capacity building of government employees. Next, please. So the last slide I will come in is that we are coming up with a data governance framework policy to address the challenges that exist in data sharing across departments. There should be a policy. So we have come up with a draft policy. It has undergone public consultations. It's currently under the review of the cabinet for approval. And once the policy is approved, it will be notified. What it will do is that it will lay down the protocols, it will lay down the SOPs, it will lay down the procedures required for sharing of data within various government departments and with the central government and the state governments. So that process will be defined, and over and above, it will also require every government data department to classify their data sets that they have into 3 categories: open category, restricted category, and prohibited category. So every department will take a call depending on the sensitivity of the data, whether it can be published on the open data platform, whether there is licensing required or some cost required for accessing that data, or some data which is sensitive, which the department doesn't want to publish. So that also will be required. So that way classification will be there, and any data that's put in the open data basket will be available for G2G sharing and G2B sharing, and APIs will be made available so that you don't have to follow up with a particular government department to access that data. There will be APIs that will help you consume that data and use it for the purposes that is required. It will also lead to setting up a data management office at the national level, which will work with the data management units at the state governments and various state government departments, ensure capacity building of the data management units so that a department is empowered to look at data, to do data analysis, use data for better decision making. Then we are also setting up, we are identifying 250 ITIs across the country for capacity building and ensuring that we have data capacity across the nation. And the idea is to set up data labs in each of the identified 250 ITIs, and that will train the tier 2, tier 3 youth in becoming data analysts and becoming data scientists to learn how data annotation is done, and that will help them find jobs in the new economy, because most of the ITIs and polytechnics, they train people to become mechanics and fitters, and with EV and other technologies coming in, those jobs will become obsolete. So we need to kind of reimagine that. We have got an approval for that. We'll be reaching out to the concerned department in the states also for identifying these polytechnics. And then the India Datasets platform is also being launched, which will be the universal platform for enabling easy access, data access and sharing. And then there will be a lot of guidelines that will be set up. The toolkit for anonymization, privacy preservation will also be developed and shared. So this is something which is work in progress, which is the plan, and we hope that with the capacity building initiatives and with the data governance framework policy being notified, we will be able to move forward and help realize the potential that data has in improving governance in this country. So thank you for giving this opportunity, for sharing this.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was the last session, and I invite Srimati Sujata Sonik ma'am to felicitate the chair and the panelists. Shri S. Chokalingam sir, DG Yashoda.
All of you for being with us for this final session. I cannot thank you enough, sir. Thank you for always opening our eyes to what we can do.
Shri Agnihotri ji.
Out of some laziness. Thank you so much.
Chokalingam sir.
Abhishek and I hope.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Asawa. Thank you for coming. Millets here. And thank you so much.
This goodie bag consists millets. और सिर्फ मिलेट्स नहीं है, धान नहीं है, बट मिलेट्स के कुछ रेसिपीज है, सो इट इज इंटरेस्टिंग. प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू टेक इट विद यू. Thank you so much. Once again, a reminder for the feedback forms to be submitted at the registration counter. और भी अगर किसी को फीडबैक फॉर्म्स चाहिए तो रजिस्ट्रेशन काउंटर पे मिल जाएंगे. Thank you.
Sir, just so you know, all the presentations are being shared. This session was live streamed. Other officers of the state have seen it, and hopefully, so you will be contacted by our officers. Please give them the guidance they are seeking and help us to actually translate all these ideas into positive action. Thank you once again for listening.
मैम सर की बात कीजिए. कहते हैं हर समापन जो होता है, हर समापन के साथ एक नई शुरुआत होती है. At the end of this 2-day conference, we have been enriched with a lot of valuable inputs. It was a pleasure and privilege for me to compare this 2 days conference. I thank everyone. I thank Sonic ma'am especially, and thank everyone over here. And I request S. Chokulingam sir to propose a vote of thanks. I, Dr. Mrinmai, take a leave here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that wonderful comparing. On behalf of the organizers, both Government of Maharashtra, Department of Administrative Reforms, DRPG, I thank every participant who came and attended this conference and made it valuable. I thank Honorable CM as well as Deputy CM, Honorable Minister of State for Personnel and PG and Pension for sparing time and attending. Honorable Chief Secretary of Maharashtra, Honorable Secretary DRPG, Sri Amarnath ji, Additional Secretary, Sri Rajput Sahib, Joint Secretary, and the entire team from DRPG. Thanks for being here and making it successful. I really thank Honorable Additional Chief Secretary Madam, Saunik Madam, and the entire GAD team, along with Collector Pune, for making this possible. I thank the entire team of Committee on Good Governance, chaired by Suresh Kumar sir, Bakshi sir, Kshatriya sir, and the entire team for being present for both days. Maybe you were more attentive than what we were doing, and thanks sir for taking this knowledge for the use of Maharashtra. I especially thank IIT Bombay for appointing specialist rapporteurs instead of having a regular reporting. Agnihotri sir made arrangements to have people who are specializing in e-governance to take proceedings for us. Sir, thanks to you and to your team. And special thanks to National Sports Council of India for making this available, as well as the event management company and people who provided good food, and in spite of many hiccups, for providing better audio and video. And really thanks to all of you for being here. Wish you a safe travel and welcome back to Maharashtra. Thanks to all of you.